just a minute. We're go ahead and get started here this morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Chattanooga Beer Board meeting. All meeting attendees must sign in on the designated sign-in sheet, so if you haven't done so, please do that. Please, on electronic devices, please turn off or mute your devices so as we don't disrupt the meeting. Individuals wishing to address the board must do so from the podium. Please adjust the microphone and state your name before making comments. I don't think you can actually adjust the microphone, but speak up when you speak at the podium, please. First item on our agenda is approval of the minutes for the March 20th, 25 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Correction.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
It's where, part of the minutes where she stated about the Dream Lounge and their violations, and she said that they had a 5-day suspension. 5-day suspension. That needs to be corrected. The recommendation from the, meeting on the 20th stated that they had 2 violations. One violation was failure to report fights or disorders, and that was a 3-day violation. The second violation was operating in a disorderly manner, and he recommended a 7-day violation for that. So that was a total of 10-day violations for the Dream, but the minutes stated only 5 days.
Okay. All right. So does that correspond with what the records are?
Yes.
Okay, all right, very good then. All right, so there, we will make that change in the minutes.
Just to be clear, I think one of the questions that came up during that hearing, which the beer board has an authority, whether those are, number one, to accept those recommendations, but 2 is whether they're concurrent or consecutive. And so in order to make the minutes as accurate as possible, it should be 3 days based on violation of section 5-51 subsection B, and 7 days based on violation of section 5-50-B, section B 15.
Okay. All right, so that, so let that correction be made to the minutes. Any other additions or corrections? All right, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes with the corrections added.
All right, is there a
No,
motion?
second.
Second. All in favor of approving the minutes with corrections as noted, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Okay, at this time, our court reporter, Lori, will swear in anybody that's coming before the board today.
Please stand and raise your right hand. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're giving today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Do.
Okay.
Okay, first item on our agenda then is beer applications approved by regulatory. Application TE-76 Hutton and Smith Brewing Company Snapfest. Hutton and Smith Crabtree Farm Plant Sale TE-77. Grown Folks BB-8. And Attack LLC, doing business as Attack of the Tatsu, beer license 1318. Are there any other approvals that we need to note at this time? Okay. Yes.
Under temporary, number 1, TE-78 was approved by regulatory.
Okay.
And number 1, under new beer applications, has been assigned to regulatory.
Has been what?
Assigned this morning to regulatory.
Okay. All right, assigned. Okay. All right, so then that leaves us with one application that was passed from the previous meeting. So that would be El Solicito Cafe, Melissa Perez, and that's beer application 1317.
Melissa Perez is making application to engage in the sale of consumer beer at 1501 East 23rd Street. Ms. Perez has not had a beer permit for this location. The location is owned by Vintage Real Estate Holdings and is zoned M1.
Give me just a second, look over her paperwork that she's brought.
All right.
Better get it. Can. Chair,
Yes.
can I pose a question
Yeah,
while we're
please.
waiting? And that is, if he's looking over paperwork that she submitted, when did we start allowing people to submit paperwork at the meetings? I thought everything had to be done through the portal and everything submitted.
It's supposed to be.
Not supposed to be, should be.
Yeah, in the
And if
portal.
everybody else does it, why are we allowing someone to submit paperwork during the meeting?
Ms.
That's the
Bertha, do you
question.
have it pulled up?
I have it pulled up.
Is it showing on there?
No.
This one is, so that one's not it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You downloaded that on OpenGov? Do you show the citizenship on
The
there?
last upload I show is from March 3rd. 2 uploads.
Did you download that?
Since the application was went through.
When did she upload it?
Did you-
When the application was through,
What did you upload?
the declaration of citizenship.
Ma'am, would you do me a favor and step closer to the microphone and state
So
your name, please?
she's saying she's got the declaration uploaded, but the,
Not the background
yeah, the,
one, because I just got it on Monday.
yeah, you gotta download that.
Okay,
You have a computer with you, you can do it now?
no.
Okay. She has to download the FBI, the nationwide background. She has the paperwork, but she hadn't downloaded it yet.
Do you have that in your hand?
Yeah.
Okay, well, she needs to upload that one.
But you are not showing the citizenship?
I do show, I apologize, I do show the Declaration of Citizenship,
Okay.
but I do not show the nationwide background check.
So once that's uploaded, then regulatory can go through the approval process. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Once that's uploaded, is that the last document that's needed?
That's the last document that is needed.
Okay.
Yeah, once that's uploaded, Ms. McDonald can review it. There's a legal hold currently because of the document that needs to be uploaded. So
Okay.
you can upload it, she can review it. If legal approves it, then it can go to regulatory, and if regulatory approves it, you don't have to come back. However, if there's any issue, then
Right.
you would be put back on the schedule or the docket.
Okay,
Recommendation would be just to pass this
Yes.
to the next meeting, and if it's approved by then it would be a moot point.
Right, all right.
You just gotta do that.
Yeah.
so I'll be coming back again, next meeting?
You may not have to, if your application is approved by legal and then approved by regulatory, you do not have to come back. So if you get a notification in the system that says you're approved, you do not have to come back. If you don't get that notification, then I would plan to come back,
Okay, thank you.
okay?
All right, thank you. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, right. Okay, is there a motion to pass? Where'd it go? Sorry. Here we go.
I make a motion to,
To pass it to the next meeting.
I make a motion to pass Beer 1317 till the next meeting or until legal and pass on the regulatory.
All right. So there's been a motion to pass this to our next meeting. Is there a Second. All right. I think I'll call it. Christie? Veronica? Ron?
Yes.
JW?
Yes.
Reginald?
Yes.
Betsy?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. All right, thank you. Okay. All right, any other applications or permits, Bertha, that we need to address at this time? Okay. All right. So now we go to the beer violations section of our meeting. And report and recommendations of beer board hearing officer. Attorney Trevor Ashley heard on March 6th, 2025. All right, so let's get over here. So the first one is Yasmin Springs, Major Paper Entertainment LLC, doing business as The Dream. So what was the, Zach, did we find out what
Yes.
the, okay, so if you'll bring us up to date.
Yeah, so I'll read it into the
All
record.
right, thank you.
So recommendation from Trevor Ashley. It is therefore recommended, based upon the totality of the circumstances, that with respect to failure to report all fights or other public disorders immediately to the Chattanooga Police Department in contravention of Section 5-51B of the Beer Code, the beer board hearing officer recommends that the beer permit at the Dream be suspended for a period of 3 days. And with respect to the violation of operating the establishment in a disorderly manner in contravention of Section 5-50B15 of the Beer Code, the beer board hearing officer recommends that the beer permit of the Dream be suspended for 7 days.
All right.
And that was submitted March 11th, 2025.
Okay, so now, just to review with everybody, we have several options. We can sustain his ruling or not sustain it. And then if it is sustained, then we need to determine when the penalties will start and stop. Ron?
We got another violation that's got 3 days attached to it to go with that.
Yes, we have two.
Okay. Do one at a time then?
Well, they were both ruled on. I don't know, should we do them both individually or?
You can take them in conjunction and address them such as in one recommendation.
yeah.
However you all deem necessary.
Right, yeah, no, so I think we can do it together. Okay. Yeah, thank you, that's a good question, Ron. We're still learning on this too, by the way. All right,
May I be heard on that
yes, sir.
before you make, and
Yes, sir.
I know this is all new. And so out of an abundance of caution, I would offer an objection to any board member deliberating on this matter that was not present during the entire hearing, which hearing officer Trevor Ashley presided over.
Right.
So I'd like to submit that. Now,
Okay.
with the violation addressing that, the one that allows the disturbance on his property, the hearing officer, it was his opinion, if you all were here, that this was strict liability. The words in a statute or an ordinance are to be given their plain meaning, all of the words in this statute or ordinance. The very first word in this ordinance is allow. My position is allow is not consistent with strict liability. If you give allow its plain meaning, that means you enabled it, or you acquiesced in it, or you permitted it. And anyone that was here knows that that's not what happened. This happened in an instant. It was a random act of violence that they couldn't prevent. It wasn't any way associated with their business or the service of alcohol. And it took less than 30 seconds for this to transpire. The gentleman jumped out of his car, ran over, fired a couple shots. His ride drove off and left him, and he ended up running down the street. My client's doing everything they can to prevent this type of activity. They've got security out there, and this person never really entered the premises. They stepped onto the property. They didn't even go on the other side of the fence where the business is actually located and where they do business. So I think it's wrong to punish them for a disturbance under this scenario here. I would go further to say, if you think this is a strict liability ordinance, then when there's a shooting on a convenience store parking lot or a murder, when there's a fight in Walmart parking lot, they need to be brought in and prosecuted under this same ordinance because it's arbitrarily being applied if it's not. So that's our position. With respect to the report, there's no dispute as to the facts on any of this matter. It's just the interpretation.
All right, thank you.
If I may just, I understand your objection. I just wanted for the record to state, my understanding is that the board members are provided with the transcript of the hearing for those that cannot be present.
And if I could address that, a transcript does not allow you to watch the witnesses and judge their credibility as they testify.
Can I speak to that? Yes, sir. I think the point of separating this process and having a public hearing officer separate from the beer board is the beer board essentially acts as, for all intents and purposes, a court of appeals, where the findings of facts by the public hearing officer are given there's great deference given to the findings of facts by the public hearing officer. We have in no way been obligated to attend the hearings. We might maybe in the future, but I think the point was the streamlining of this process was to take the evidentiary hearing out of the beer board's hands, put it in a public hearing officer's hands, and have us make a decision on that. So I disagree. I do disagree with that.
Okay.
We're essentially making a determination on what the hearing officer determined was a violation, not on trying the case again.
Right.
Right?
Okay, so, again, our option is to either sustain or not sustain the hearing officer's decision. So I will entertain a motion.
Violations?
Yeah, because they were basically, both of these are included in this order, so it's both violations. Discussion?
So my discussion, I think, centers around, I don't know whether I want to sustain the recommendation or enforce a greater violation or consequence. Because there's 3 violations in the same amount of months. So, you know, the attorney spoke to allowing a establishment to be operated disorderly. This particular evening, a fight occurred inside the establishment. Had the police been called to the establishment that night, it might have deterred further occurrence from happening, you know, especially a shooting. If there had been police presence in the establishment, it might not have. I know the argument is they're not causally connected, the fight and the shooting. But nonetheless, the consequences are so high when firearms are involved, the amount of harm that can be caused. And I know the establishment's doing everything it can in its power, and unfortunately, it's just it's operated in a neighborhood that is very firearm dense, you know, and where unfortunately people want to take matters in their own hands and not involve law enforcement, which is a recipe for two shootings happening in 3 months. I think so I'm leaning towards not sustaining and enforcing a greater consequence. I'm also open to sustaining it, given the discussion, but it seems like a pretty severe violation.
I'm open to sustaining, but with a less amount of days, because I know that this place has had its issues, but they have also did like Zach said, they have taken a lot of made a lot of changes, shall I say, to correct what they have done. But at the end of the day, they have served a lot of suspensions. So I would say 10 days, I'm gonna say that's a little bit too much. Maybe we can reduce it. But the rules are the rules, like you have to call the police, and like Zach said, had they called the police for that fight, it may have deterred that shooting from happening. But like I said, sustain and maybe just reduce the amount of days that they have to be suspended.
All right, any more discussion? All right, the chair will entertain a motion.
I will.
Yes, Ron?
I'll make a motion that we sustain officer, the hearing, beer board hearing officers, the recommendation of a 7-day and a 10-day.
Or 7 and 3.
Excuse me,
Total of 10.
total 10 days, 3 days and 7 days.
Okay, there is a motion to sustain the hearing officer's ruling. Is there a second?
I will second the 10 days.
Okay.
I agree.
Now, discussion to the motion.
If I may interject, just for the record. So the recommendation was 3 days and 7 days based on the 2 violations. One of the questions that was raised, I believe, by their attorney was whether that's going to be a consecutive or concurrent punishment, meaning are the 7 days and 3 days counting at the same time, or are they stacked on top of one another, so it's 10 days total? So I think for purposes of what discussion is happening, I'd just like for us to clarify what we're
Right.
talking about.
So hold on just a second. Ron, since you made the motion, I'll let you
Well,
address
I
it.
was thinking we would do that in the next phase, but anyway,
That was my question. Does that have to be part of the motion?
I was gonna
The
make it
serving of
in
the
the penalty
days.
One
phase.
at a time, please. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, one at a time. Yes, as I see this, we either sustain or not sustain.
Right.
Then if we sustain, then we have to vote
Right.
on that. So I think we're okay the way the motion is made right now. Then we will determine if it passes, then we will decide whether it is concurrent or not. Does that sound right, Zach?
Sounds right to me.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to clarify, because
Yeah.
we use the word 10 days, and for the record, I just want to make sure that it's a 7 and 3 days
Right,
for
7 and
purposes
3
of
days.
what's the recommendation.
Okay, got it, thank you. All right, is that okay on your second? Okay, all right, further discussion to the motion. So we're voting to sustain.
Okay.
Then, if that passes, then we will determine whether it's concurrent or not. Okay, all right, if there's no further discussion, I'm gonna call the roll. Christie?
Yes.
Veronica?
Abstain.
Ron?
Yes.
JW?
No.
Reginald?
Yes.
Betsy?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, the motion passes. Now, is there a motion to, on how this should be implemented? Whether it should be concurrent
Or consecutive.
or consecutive? So I'll entertain a motion.
I have a question. Yes, sir. If we don't do it concurrent and we do consecutive, do they have to be bookend on each other, or can we give space in between?
Yeah.
I guess I'm asking is,
We all have the discretion.
We can do. Okay, is there a motion?
Another shot.
Yep, go ahead, Ron.
I would like to make a motion to run the 7 and 3 days consecutively.
All right, there's a motion to run the 7-day suspension and the 3-day suspension consecutively.
I second that.
There is a second. Motion by Ron Smith and second by Zach Atchley. All right, now discussion to the motion.
Do we have to set the dates
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, we do.
Discussion.
We do. All right, so, before we set the date, I thought we'd see if it actually passes or not.
I think that's probably
Yeah.
a better route,
I do too.
doing it in phases.
Yeah,
But-
I do too. That's what I thought. All right, so the question is, consecutively, is that correct, Ron?
That's correct.
Okay, sorry. All right. So there is a motion. Is there a second to that?
Yes.
Zach seconded it. Got it. All right, further discussion to the motion. All right, I'll call the roll. Zach?
Yes.
Betsy?
Yes.
Reginald?
Yes.
JW?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Veronica?
Same.
And Christie?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So that's 8, so that passes. Now, what are the suspension of the beer permit, when should it begin and when should it end?
Well, I have a question there. And I don't know who can answer it other than Mr. Cox, I guess, but has a ABC, oh, no, see,
I'll be glad to tell you what the ABC did. ABC has a rule where they summarily suspend the service alcohol if there are 2 incidents within a certain period of time, and I just can't remember what that period of time. They initially suspended that as the second hearing went down. After they viewed the evidence on the video, they lifted the suspension, and they issued a $1,000 fine.
Okay.
so they have done their, for this.
Concluded, that
Okay.
matter is concluded with alcoholic beverages.
Thank you.
So, just to refresh everybody, we can issue a letter of reprimand in the file. We can suspend the beer permit, starting and stopping. We can revoke the beer permit, or in lieu of the above sanction, which would be the suspension, permittee may pay a civil penalty of blank within 7 days of this decision. So we have some options here to do that.
For what part? Because the motion has already went through.
No, but see, we can say we sustained it, we sustained his ruling, but we can say in lieu of the above sanction, they can pay a fine instead. We have the ability to do that. Am I
I
correct,
wish those
counsel?
options would have went before there was a motion,
Yeah,
before
good
all
point.
of that. We
Yeah.
didn't hear all of
I
those
get it.
options.
I agree.
My understanding,
Yeah.
there was a motion for whether to sustain the recommendations. Second was whether it would be consecutive or not, and that was
Right.
voted on upon.
Right,
And so that's where we're currently at.
so that's where we are,
So those
okay.
options you just gave they're not valid now, or are they? They're not valid. We didn't have the opportunity to say, this is on the floor, if that makes sense. Just a
Right. Well,
reprimand,
that's right.
a letter, or a fine. We wasn't given that opportunity. Our options were limited, if that makes sense.
Good point.
Were those options available before we had a hearing officer in place?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I don't know, this is for the city attorney. I would like to see if we can rescind what just stated and allow the chair to give those options
Okay.
on the table, and then let's take another whole motion, if that makes sense.
I believe you can ask for a motion to reconsider.
Yeah, that's it, motion to reconsider.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, thank you. As like I said, this is a learning process for us, because this is all new.
If I can, Chair, I make a motion to reconsider,
Rescind, rescind.
he said.
Reconsider.
Reconsider, excuse me, yeah,
I
sorry.
make a motion to reconsider the motion that went forth and hear better options or
Okay.
more options
All right,
to the violation.
all right, all right.
Was
there's
there a
a-
motion already on the floor though, before we?
Discussion.
No, we've
Oh,
done
was
with
in
that, we
discussion.
were in
Okay, I just making
discussion.
sure.
Yeah, that's good, thank you, Reggie. All right, so there has been a motion to rescind.
To reconsider.
Reconsider, sorry, our initial motion. And there's been a motion to do that. So is there a second to that?
Second.
All right, second discussion to that motion?
I'm sorry, who seconded that? Okay.
Christie?
Christie, all right. All right, I'll call the roll. Christie?
Yes.
Veronica?
Abstain.
All right. Ron?
Yes.
JW?
Yes.
Reginald?
Yes.
Betsy?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. All right, now, so that,
At this point, we're going to reconsider it. You all can have a discussion about that, and if you all rescind, you all can now rescind what
the
what you
first motion.
voted on, and then go ahead, and if you have new recommendations, you can do that, or if it's the same things, you can just reaffirm.
Okay. All right, so is there,
I think, Chair, if you will, I'm sorry, Bessie, can you restate?
yes, what I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
Let me restate this. So, we have the option to put a letter of reprimand in the file. We have the option to suspend the beer permit. We have the option to revoke the beer permit, or we have the option in lieu of the above sanction, permittee may pay a civil penalty of blank within 7 days of this decision.
I have a question,
Yes, ma'am.
and that is, if a hearing officer, what's the purpose of having a hearing officer? If he make a recommendation, if we got so many options to override what he already recommended?
That's,
So,
the purpose is this board ultimately makes the final decision.
And to that discussion, I don't know if the hearing officer was given this order as well to know that it's on the table.
These options?
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask, if the hearing officer also has the options to have these variety of
Right.
penalties.
Right.
I cannot answer that.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
All right. So there is a motion and a second.
as a question.
Well, no, we're in discussion.
Yes,
discussion.
and we're in discussion. Mhm.
What is the amount of the civil penalty?
Well, what the attorney said that the TABC did was $1,000, is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
So, TABC says, hey, we're gonna give a $1,000 fine, pay this, and move forward. That's what they,
That's the
right.
state, right?
But you're saying we would make whatever our recommendation is.
Right.
That dollar amount or whatever.
Pull a number out the air?
No.
No, I'm looking at the code right now.
Yeah, we have some guidelines on this, yeah.
And so let me also ask, can we do a combination of like a reprimand letter and a fewer number of days versus
Yes,
the 3
we
and
can
7,
do-
so that can be?
We can do anything we
combined?
want to do
Okay.
within the rules that we operate under.
So under section 5-23, the beer board may offer a permit holder the alternative of paying a civil penalty not to exceed $2,500 for each offense of making or permitting any sales to minors, or civil penalty not to exceed $1,000 for any offense.
$1,000.
1,000.
Yeah,
So the beer board may offer a permit holder the alternative of paying a civil penalty not to exceed $2,500 for each offense of making or permitting any sales to minors, or a civil penalty not to exceed $1,000 for any other offense.
so this would fall under the $1,000 category.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we don't have a motion. Oh, we do, we have the one, okay.
I guess we talk options now? as
Yes,
part of the
that's correct.
discussion? I'd just tell you where I would lean is imposing a financial fine for the not calling the police. It seems like a more minor offense to me. I don't have an amount in my head, but I don't want to put the business out as, I want to put a consequence down without putting them without them being out of business for an unreasonable amount of time, but I would still sustain the 7-day suspension for that.
Okay.
Discharge,
All right.
disorderly conduct.
Further discussion?
What about a letter of reprimand for the calling and the civil penalty for the shooting?
Well, you can make a
To put
motion.
somebody, I mean, they've already, I mean, I don't know how many suspensions they done had so far, but
It's right there.
I know, but I think also they had some, the TABC, they had a suspension with them too, and I don't know how long that one was for. But letter of reprimand is.
We can, the chair will entertain a motion of whatever is the pleasure of the board.
Can we keep the discussion open just until
Yes.
we kind of come to
Yeah.
somewhat of
Yes.
a consensus before a
Yes,
motion?
please do.
I think, Christie have a valid point. If Bertha can see how many, I think, what, one suspension from us? And then we have TABC here, Travis is here. If he can pull up to see what that was, to give us some dialogue, if you can, Travis. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Good morning, sir.
Travis Patton with the Tennessee Alcoholic Beverage Commission. What was your question?
If you can share what TABC, the number of days of suspension, if there was, what did they do?
How long
I'm
was
not
it?
sure.
You don't have that in your record?
No, I don't have a rebuttal against what their attorney said, though. I mean, it sounds accurate.
Yeah.
Upon the second shooting, once they got wind of that, there's a provision in the Tennessee Code annotated that allows the Alcoholic Beverage Commission to summarily suspend without a hearing, okay? And they suspended it at that time. Now, how many days did they serve?
That's the
I
question.
don't know the answer to that.
Okay, that's what we want to
But
know.
once they saw the video,
Then
they
they
dropped the
just-
suspension.
Okay.
and-
That's your point.
Okay,
So
now-
you don't know the number of days it was until they saw the video. Gotcha. That's the question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Did that help, Christie?
Yeah, but I feel like the hearing, when they brought that suspension up, I thought I heard them say 3 weeks that it was suspended, but I'm not for sure.
Yeah, they did say a number, but maybe that was the time from them to
Yeah.
get on the calendar to be heard. Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
Sorry, Christie, I also thought that suspension was from the previous violation that we
It
heard.
was.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so,
Seems like y'all's thing is a little bit different than mine, in a sense. I think the more violations someone accrues, the greater the punishment, personally. I think because they're not, I know a lot's being mitigated, I mean, that's just, it's interesting. I will say, I understand everyone, I totally respect everything, but I just want to point, it seems that's where I'm coming from is, so maybe we find a middle ground here.
I don't know if we have the number of days. That's what we're really trying to figure out. How many times have they been suspended? I thought they only came before the board once.
Yes.
Yes, correct. On February 6, 2025, this board adopted and sustained the recommendations of the hearing officer, which was a 5-day suspension.
But that was a one violation. Right.
Now they've got 2 more.
Now-
Well, they had that 5-day from us, but then they also had it from them.
That's concurrent
So it
with-
was like they were serving ours and theirs at the same time.
Correct. On that one violation.
However, I just think that they did make a lot of changes to try
I
to
agree.
mitigate some of what was going on there.
So I guess what I'm trying to stress is the dream only came before the beer board on one violation, and the outcome was a 5-day suspension. Is that correct?
Correct.
Previous.
On 2/6.
I'm sorry?
On 2/6, is that what you're talking about?
So that makes their second violation when they came.
They had the first violation, we didn't sustain it. The second one, we did sustain it, that was 5 days suspension, and then they also had the suspension from TABC, during the same time.
Just by way of background, on March 21st, 2024, they had a violation and it was not sustained. Then the February 6, 2025 one happened, and that's the 5 days.
So when we say not sustained, we can't count that. Right. So really, they only came before one violation. Okay, right.
okay.
I don't know if that, I was trying to bring it all together to one picture. In my head, it's a movie. I'm putting it together.
All right, is there a motion? Or, yeah, a motion.
Have we figured out what we're gonna do?
Well, we're discussing.
If nobody else wants to.
We're discussing.
I simply want to state that I agree with Zach in the fact that the more violations you have, the more times you show up before the beer board, the stiffer the penalties should become each time. And I guess I understand that they've made some updates and changes. I'm just reluctant to reduce what's before us because I'm afraid that they're just going to be back, right? Like, there's got to be something that's going to say, okay, we've got to really make sure that we don't have another violation. So that's where I stand. I don't know that I might even go back to the original motion that we had on the table.
And at this point, just to be clear, we're just reconsidering if you are going to rescind or not going to rescind. That would be a motion first, and then
Right.
there would be, then you all would vote on a new
Gotcha.
punishment.
Right.
I would be mindful to say to this board, if we could consider what the state did as well as what we're trying to do. Let's show some type of alignment if we could. That's just more so, and we have our right to do what we're gonna do, but I'm just saying, we don't wanna go to left field and then the state is somewhere else. And it's the same violation, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Well, I have another thought on that and see how you think about this, but 10 days consecutively on the days that he's open takes it way out into the end of the month. If you just consider the days, 4 days he's open a week, you take the breaks, the days off and carry forward. If you take the 10 days and run it all together and can leave the non-work days there, that he's not open, and it takes it down to about 19th of the month, somewhere down there. It's starting a week from today.
That sound like a motion.
Is there anybody?
Is there any discussion on that, I thought?
You said starting with today?
Excuse me?
You said starting with today?
No, a week from today.
A week from today. So the 10th.
So Ron, would you
And
like
that week
to?
is to give him a chance to go to Chancery Court and file an appeal.
If we lower the days, we add some money damage on it. My thought is if we lower the days, the 10 days, if we make it less than 10 days to whatever degree, we do add some monetary damage, some money, whether it be $500. I wouldn't want to go really any higher than $500, but.
Why don't we match what the TABC did?
I'm not sure there's room for a combination. Your attorney can answer that, but I think it's one is in lieu of a suspension.
Says in lieu of.
Well, there's two violations,
Two
right? So there could be one
I
monetary.
thought you were treating them as one, but.
That's what she said. Okay. She said make a violation and then a penalty.
Okay, violation and penalty, like Betsy said, I guess. I don't know if you want to go with,
Can you speak up?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't,
you got
I
Move your
don't,
name tag over.
yeah, I don't know if you
No,
want
no,
to.
no. Over, way over.
Oh, this
Where
one?
you-
Okay.
So I can see you.
Okay.
Okay, repeat what you just said.
So, like Betsy stated earlier, maybe the violation and the fine. Which one you want to do?
Well, we're still into discussion, right? Mr. Ashley's talked about doing it on the lesser one, the 3-day, giving the fine on the 3-day, because it's a less serious offense than the second one.
That's what I was thinking.
Yep.
Maybe, the civil penalty on the 3 for no call and the, 7-day suspension for the shooting. Why you looking like that?
I think
I'm pressing.
Okay. So, council,
I did.
what, the next step we have to do, I want to make sure I get this right, is we are reconsidering the original, so now our vote should be whether we sustain the original motion or we vote to reconsider, whether that passes.
So you'd be, so you can do two things. You can motion to rescind
Right,
the punishment of the 10 consecutive days,
right,
which was voted upon. And then you could do a motion for a new
Right.
punishment in lieu of. Or you can make a motion to adopt and affirm the 10 consecutive days that was
okay,
previously voted
very
upon.
good, thank you. So, the chair will entertain a motion. Did you hear our choices?
Yeah, yeah, I'll do it. And I would like to make a motion to rescind in lieu of
There you go.
Christie.
no.
I would do motion
Oh,
to rescind the
rescind?
10 consecutive days.
Okay,
I just
gotcha.
think it's gonna be,
All right, and I'll make a motion to rescind the 10 consecutive days.
All right. Is there a second to that motion?
Yeah.
Second. Further discussion to the motion? Okay. Christie?
Yes.
Thank you, city attorney.
Veronica?
Abstain.
Got it. Ron?
Yes.
JW?
Yes.
Reginald?
Yes.
Betsy?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, so now we have rescinded the original motion. Now, is there a new motion? Is that correct, Zach?
the motion was to rescind the 10 consecutive
10
days.
consecutive days.
So that's
Right.
nothing on the table.
So now you're all looking at what's the punishment?
Correct.
Based on the sustaining of the violations.
That's correct.
5-51B and 5-50B15.
Right, that's correct. Okay. So what's the pleasure of the board?
We're making a motion to,
Speak up.
so we're making a motion to give a civil penalty of 1,000 for the 3-day?
Or whatever you,
Whatever motion you want to make.
yeah.
We haven't decided any of that.
Okay.
We're discussing that now.
Okay.
It was that discussion that you talked about.
Right, okay. So now, we've had discussion.
Yeah.
Is there a motion? The chair will entertain a motion to, that, because we have sustained the order, so the chair will entertain a motion for what the
Yeah, and
what the board wishes to do.
to be clear, you sustained that there was a violation.
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
Before a motion is made, if the consensus seems to be a civil penalty for the not calling the police and a suspension for the shooting, can we talk about an amount that the civil penalty would be?
Yes, yeah.
Just get people's thoughts
No,
on
the
it.
maximum amount is $1,000 by code. So yes, go ahead.
I wouldn't want it to be 1,000 if they're also getting suspended. I think $500 is a reasonable amount, and then if they're also gonna be suspended for 7 days, which is what I would vote for, then that's what I would recommend.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion?
I'll make, yeah.
All right, so Zach,
make a motion.
would you restate it, please?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that, for violation, the 3-day, I don't have the violation numbers in front of me.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna state it for the record. So the 3-day suspension that was recommended by Mr. Atchley relates to a violation of section 5-51B. Recommendation that he made for the 7-day suspension was for the violation of section 5-50B15.
Okay, so I'll make a motion for the violation of section 5-51B, 3-day, the recommended 3-day suspension, that we, in lieu of that, impose a $500 civil penalty. And
Okay.
that in the same motion, sustain the public hearing officer's recommendation of a 7-day suspension for the violation of 5-50B15.
Okay, so that's a motion. Is there a second? Remember, I can't vote.
Can you repeat that one for
Yeah,
my?
restate it one more.
Yeah, but just the gist of it is, so the framework is for the recommended 3-day violation
Yeah.
for the public hearing, disregard that and just do a $500 penalty. And then sustain the 7-day suspension recommendation for the disorderly conduct.
Consecutive? And when I say that,
I guess there'd be a second discussion of how to impose that.
Right.
Yeah.
If I may, though, you can't impose a fine. You can give them a
Hold on.
you
Hold
can give them
on,
a
yeah,
choice.
one at a time, guys.
Stop.
One at a time, please.
Stop.
Go ahead, sir.
Counsel, go ahead and speak
What I
up.
was going to say is the board doesn't have authority to impose a fine. They can offer a fine in lieu of, so that you offer them a choice. Do you want the 3 days?
Right, in lieu of.
Whatever the monetary fine is, you cannot just impose a fine.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion?
Well, he just, hold on.
City attorney.
City attorney.
City attorney.
Can you explain
Can you
that?
impose on that?
Yeah.
Because what I'm hearing
We
him
didn't know
say
what
is that they would have the option to choose which one they will.
Yeah, so it states here, if a civil penalty is offered as an alternative to revocation or suspension, the holder shall have 7 days with which to pay the civil penalty before the revocation or suspension shall be imposed. So the proper way to vote for that would be in lieu of the 3-day suspension, if that's what you all deem is appropriate, you would impose a $500 fine, and then he would have, or the business would have 7 days to pay that.
And if they don't, then the suspension kicks in.
Correct, that's my understanding.
I guess what I was going to say is, I'm just confused. Council brought up something, and as a business owner, that if people are driving and just shooting, whether he said, council said Walmart, whether it's whatever it may be, how can one establishment be held accountable? And it had nothing to do with the establishment. And so what I'm hearing for this case is, and watching the video, whether the guy was in or out, whatever we saw according to the video, he just pulled up, got out, started shooting. I don't know, but this is JW, don't know if that's just fair to penalize someone for someone who just drive past Brainerd Road and start shooting in front of my establishment. And then at the end of the day, I'm held accountable to this board because somebody's doing a drive-by on Brainerd Road. That's just my statement, that's just JW.
If I may?
Yes.
Okay.
You can.
My personal opinion is, it's not so much that there was a drive-by, somebody hopped out onto that property. It was the response of the bar's security, in my opinion, that led to the disorderly conduct.
Yeah, and to speak to I think the public hearing officer's opinion addressed, even if there's no strict liability involved, which I have no opinion on that at all, but I think the point of the suspension would be that it was foreseeable. The fact that a security guard has a long arm and a trunk to provide security for people when they're leaving a club, it's foreseeable that other firearms are going to be involved at that time of day, at that time. So it's so foreseeable that they have a long arm for protection, and then, of course, it did happen. Someone got out of the car, came onto the premises, shot a gun, and the security officer shot back. So it was absolutely foreseeable. It wasn't just a random act. It was, to me, it was not random at all.
So, can we just dialogue? If we have CPD or armed security guarding our establishment, and someone does that, I don't know, we have law enforcement here. What is the job of law enforcement? Are they to shoot back, or are they to protect? Or what? Or I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know the proper response. I just don't know. But I understand you're talking about what he had, the weapon he had, and all of that, but
Okay.
I'm in the middle. If that makes sense for me.
All right. So to refresh,
Mr. Chairman, I
Yeah.
just wanted to let you know Ms. Dutson exited the meeting.
okay.
I think you can take a phone call.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
I think she's abstained from.
Right, she has
abstained anyway.
abstained, so we'll,
I just wanted to note it for the record.
please do. Yes, ma'am. All right, so back to what do we want to do?
I'll throw out another one.
All right, that's good. The system's supposed to work.
I heard Mr. Ashley. I like his idea. I'd like to make a motion for a 3-day suspension.
Yep.
That is.
Never got a second.
They never got a
Never got a
second.
second.
It died.
Died of a second.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
But I think $500 is pretty cheap for a 3-day suspension. I mean, that's not nowhere near the pain as a 3-day suspension would be. So I say give them a 3-day suspension or a $1,000 fine.
As it relates to which violation? 5-51B?
A 3-day, which one is it?
Yeah,
Okay, okay, right.
5-51B.
551-B. And I also want to give them a 7-day suspension starting, now the 3-day suspension will have to start on, looks to me like April the 10th, 11th, and 12th.
But that's only if they don't pay.
Pay, exactly. But if they don't pay, they got a 3-day out there, and we want to put 7, I want to add 7 more days on it, starting on April the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, and I would say not, they're off on the next Monday and Tuesday, but, you know,
That's okay.
let it run 7 days from starting on the 17th.
And if that's your motion, I think it is, let it be clear for the record that you're talking the open days. Days that he's open. That's what,
There's 2 days there he's not gonna be open, the
do we
7th.
know that for sure?
Well,
I don't know.
that's not on, what he's got on his webpage, he's off on Monday and Tuesdays.
Well, I don't know, I'm just saying for the record, if that's what your motion
And
is.
if he decided he wanted to open up on Monday and Tuesday, he would not be able to that week.
Okay.
Okay,
Motion, what,
5-50B,
5-50B.
15. 15.
15.
Roman numeral 15.
okay, so there is, Ron, restate that one more time.
Okay. Thanks.
Make sure we're clear. That's why I'm
I'm
asking.
making a motion for a 3-day suspension or a $1,000 fine starting on April the 10th.
As it relates to which violation?
That relates to 5-51B. 3-day suspension, right? And I'm also making a motion for a 7-day suspension starting on April the 17th and running for 7 days through the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the April 23rd.
Okay, all right, so we have a motion.
And that's on
5-50.
550-B or B 15.
Okay, there is a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
A second.
Second. Discussion to the motion?
Ms. Morris seconded.
I'm gonna call the roll. Christie?
Yes.
Veronica? Abstain. All right. Ron?
Yes.
JW?
No.
Reginald?
No.
Betsy?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that does carry. We have five affirmative votes. Okay. So that concludes this one. All right.
I appreciate your all's time. If I may, just before I leave, would it be possible to get a roll call vote as to who was actually at the hearing that Officer Trevor actually conducted?
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't mind, if you would, I'll ask this and tell me whether you were present or not at the hearing. Christie? Veronica?
Yes, I was there.
All right, Ron?
Yes.
JW?
Yes.
Reginald?
Yes.
Betsy?
Present?
Zach?
Not present.
And the chair was present.
I'm sorry,
The chair was present.
the chair was present.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
Thank you all.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, thank you, board. Let's take a 5-minute break, and we'll be right back.
order.
thinking about when I was 16 years old, every time I got in trouble,
Right,
it was 2
right.
weeks grounded at home. Then it was a month at home. She was on me for 6
He'll be right
months
back.
one time. I got, yeah,
So we adjourn.
that's how it's
Come
supposed
on,
to
Ron, we
work.
waiting on you.
There's
I'm
Ron.
not staying for these kids.
We gotta adjourn.
We're not required.
Okay. We're.
Trevor's not gonna do it?
He is.
Yeah.
The hearings, but we don't have anything
Adjourn
to
so
do.
he can
We
get
gotta
down to
re-
business.
We gotta adjourn out.
Oh, okay.
All right, so, is there any public comment? Anyone wish to address the board? No prior business? Is there a motion to adjourn to the administrative hearing officer?
So move.
All right, all in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank y'all very much. Excellent discussion today.